you're a thrill seeker who loves spooky places, these creepy cemeteries will be perfect for you. From hotels and other historic sites that visitors claim are haunted and that have spawned urban legends. There are so many scary places around the world that are good for visitors that like to get a little creeped out, but there are some places that are creepier than most. This is the top 10 creepiest graveyards. Number 10. Potter's Field, New York. Potter's Field is located on New York City's Hart Island. Over the past century and a half, over 1 million bodies are said to have been buried in Potter's Field. For the past 150 years, the bodies of the homeless, missing, and nameless people that weren't otherwise identified were taken to Potter's Field and buried by inmates from Rikers Island Jail who worked there. The sheer number of bodies that have been buried there make it hard to imagine how they're all laid out and marked. The fact that the bodies are in mass graves around the island makes some people living in New York question the tradition. Number 9. Stoll Cemetery, Kansas. Stoll is an unincorporated community in Kansas. Stoll is an average community and was founded in the 1850s. On the surface, there's nothing all that strange about Stoll Cemetery. But, since the 1970s, urban legends have made Stoll Cemetery iconic and totally spooky. According to an article written in the University of Kansas's student-run newspaper in the 1970s, Satan himself appears in Stoll Cemetery every year. The legend that this article popularized states that Stoll Cemetery is one of the Earth's 7 gates of hell and that Satan himself makes an appearance here every Halloween. Number 8. Chamula Cemetery, San Juan Chamula, Mexico. Chamula Cemetery was originally designed to be a Catholic church, but in the 1960s, the priest residing over it left and the church was basically abandoned. Local shamans sometimes use this site as a home for their rituals, but it's mostly only used for the cemetery. It has dozens of raised graves, marked by different colors of crosses. It's a tradition in Mexico for graves to be different colors or decorated in unique ways in order to honor their loved ones. They become decorated even more during Dia de los Muertos when families leave gifts and offerings for their loved ones to enjoy as their spirits come back. Number 7. The Catacombs, Paris, France. The Catacombs of Paris are an underground series of tombs in Paris and among the most popular and well-known cemeteries in the world. The catacombs were built in the 18th century and house between 6 and 7 million bodies. Each year, nearly 500,000 people visit the catacombs and walk among the bodies that are carefully stacked up and line the walls. As if the bodies stacked up in the maze of walls throughout the catacombs don't make this location creepy enough, there's even been a movie about this location. As Above So Below follows a group of people that find themselves lost in the catacombs and struggle to find their way out as things get weirder and weirder. Number 6. Lincoln Park, Baltimore, Maryland. Lincoln Park isn't technically a cemetery, but the number of bodies that have been found in this park have made people start calling it Baltimore's open-air cemetery. Most notably, Hae Min Lee's body was discovered in Lincoln Park after her disappearance in 1999, a crime case that became the basis for the highly popular podcast serial. Since the mid-20th century, it's estimated that around 79 bodies have been found in Lincoln Park. The The park's overgrown trees and unmarked paths make this park a place that isn't exactly monitored, making it an easy place for victims of foul play to be hidden. Number 5. La Noria Cemetery, Chile. La Noria was a mining city founded in Chile in the early 19th century. In the early 20th century, La Noria was completely abandoned and many of its inhabitants left behind their possessions in their rush to leave to find work at another mine in the area. Living conditions in La Noria when it was still an active mining city have been described as being less than ideal. Because of this, a lot of myths and legends surround the remains of the ghost town that is La Noria. Today, fans of the paranormal visit the vast ghost town and its allegedly haunted cemetery. Vandals and grave robbers have disrupted the cemetery over the years, something that many people believe upset the spirits of the people buried there. Number 4. Howard Street Cemetery, Salem, Massachusetts. Salem is perfect for anyone who loves history, the world of the paranormal, or a combination of both. There are so many different locations in Salem that represent the city's history and the Salem witch trials, but none are as interesting and creepy as the Howard Street Cemetery. In 1692, Giles Corey refused to go to trial for witchcraft. In order to try to get him to enter a plea, Giles was pressed with heavy stones as a means of torture, but he refused to answer and was eventually killed. Legend has it that Giles Corey was buried in Howard Street Cemetery, but there's no marker to say exactly where his body is. Number 3. Valley of the Kings in Cairo, Egypt. Valley of the Kings is a valley in Egypt where at least 63 chambers were built in order to house pharaohs and other noble people in ancient Egypt. Interest in exactly what life was like in ancient Egypt and the meaning behind all their structures has been a huge focus of archaeology since the 18th century. Most of the tombs in the Valley of the Kings are closed to tourists and are only opened in order to be studied by archaeologists. Considering these sites were so sacred to the ancient Egyptians who buried their most powerful and esteemed leaders there, it's no surprise that not just anyone is allowed in. Number 2. Bachelor's Grove, Chicago, USA. Bachelor's Grove is a cemetery located in Chicago that has become a popular destination for lovers of the paranormal since the 1950s. Claims of ghosts and spirits have been surrounding this location for a long time, and this cemetery has become pretty well known for these alleged hauntings. Some of them include a black dog that guards the cemetery's gate, a woman in a white dress carrying a baby through the cemetery during the full moon, and various different phantom vehicles that drive up and down the nearby roads. Number 1. The New Lucky Restaurant in Ahmedabad, India. The New Lucky Restaurant is located in Ahmedabad, India. Although most restaurants are known for their food, this restaurant is also known for something else. Its decor. Inside the restaurant, customers are seated among exposed sarcophagi. When the owner bought the location, there were all these graves, although he could have chosen to just demolish them or even build over the top of them. He chose to build around them and make them a feature of his restaurant. No one is sure who these graves belong to, but this is definitely a unique final resting place and restaurant. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, Like and subscribe to the channel.